This is the Transforming Anxiety podcast with mindfulness teacher Kelly Hanlon McCormick. And today is episode number 271, Junk Food Self-Talk. My intention for this conversation is that we pay attention to what's going on in our minds. We forget that we can do this and we get yanked around by the thoughts we're thinking. Let's check in on the quality and the content of our thoughts today. Welcome in. It's the Transforming Anxiety podcast, episode number 271, Junk Food Self-Talk. I'm so glad you're here. Hey there. Welcome in today. Oh my goodness, happy September. It's almost fall. Yeah. And for some reason, this just seems like a good season for mindfulness, for doing more of this kind of work, this kind of introspective, reflective, I don't love this term, but self-care. So what we're going to do today is talk about junk food self-talk. Maybe that title already gives you an idea of where we're heading. But I want to really take a moment with this one because I'm pretty sure about 100% of us are doing this, right? Our brains, they are thought-thinking machines, right? Just like your tear ducts have a job, which is to produce tears, your mind produces thoughts. So your elbow bends, right? Your ears hear, your taste buds taste, your mind thinks. This is all part of being human. It's just a feature of being alive. And because our minds are always thinking thoughts, and because we're mere mortals and we aren't super enlightened or any better than humans can be, some portion of those thoughts are junk. So I'm going to be teaching about thoughts in the upcoming class, Be Mindful, Not Anxious, which, yes, come join us for Be Mindful, Not Anxious. You can find out more about that at kellyhanlonmccormick.com/be mindful, not anxious. And I've been thinking about thinking a bit to finalize my notes for that class. And, our society just really glorifies thinking, right? We are very thought-centered. We focus on thoughts and ideas and opinions. We consume headlines and stories and content, and we just love to swap thoughts in conversation and gossip and water cooler chat. We have meetings where we share ideas and plans, and it's a lot of thinking. But for all the thinking we do, and all that importance we place on thinking, we don't take a lot of time, or really any time outside of a mindfulness class, to consider the content and the quality of our thinking. So you've noticed that you do, and that sometimes you don't, have a filter on what you think. As in, you don't say everything you think, right? You think thoughts that you don't even really pay attention to sometimes. You think other thoughts on repeat, thoughts you think over and over and over again. Other thoughts are routine simply because a lot of the same things, it's like we do a lot of the same things every day, right? We get up, we get ready, we go to work, we take care of the house and the kids and the pets, we go for a walk, we make dinner, we watch TV, we go to bed, repeat, repeat, repeat. So that creates a lot of similar thought activity in the mind, of course. So some thoughts you might feel kind of stuck in, like there are thought ruts that we get into where we just can't quite let it go. We're worried about something, or there's a deadline, or maybe there's an election coming up. Maybe someone we know is dealing with a chronic illness or a tough situation, and we keep tabs on how it's going for them. Maybe there's a house or a work project that we're involved in, and it takes a certain amount of thought and decision making to keep things moving. So just lots of thoughts, right? Thousands and thousands of thoughts all day, every day. just a never-ending ticker tape of thoughts up there in our minds. And again, that's not a bad thing. I think a lot of people approach mindfulness and even their thoughts like there shouldn't be so many of them, like it should somehow quiet down up there, like something's going wrong because it's so damn noisy up there in the mind. And I have to tell you, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to get quieter. The mind isn't going to relax and stop thinking. Just like your tear ducts aren't going to stop producing tears. And hopefully your elbow isn't going to stop bending. Your ears won't stop hearing. This is the way the human body operates. Stopping the thoughts isn't the goal. That's not what we want. But, and this is what we're going to explore together today, I do find that it's very helpful to pay attention to the quality and the content of our thoughts and be sure that we aren't giving too much space to the thoughts that are the mental equivalent of junk food. There's only so much real estate up there, and the more we can listen in to how we're thinking and get aware of the quality and the content of our thoughts, the more space we can make for the things we want to think. And we can start actively turning down the volume on the thoughts that are just total junk. So, we're going to talk about some families of thought that are junk food for the mind. Things that are a little indulgent, things that are powerless and total dead ends, things that lead you in circles, even things that sometimes kind of feel good in the moment, but they do not take you where you want to go or point you in the direction of being the kind of person you want to be. So these are things that are just like junk food in the sense that you'll maybe get why people think these things, right? We understand why people eat junk food. It's quick, it's easy, it's convenient, it usually tastes pretty good. All those things, we get it. We understand why people do it. Same with this kind of thinking. Most of this comes very quickly and easily. It's very convenient. Sometimes, again, it feels really good in the moment. You get that little zing of pleasure when you think one of those junk food thoughts. So again, it makes sense. But we want to play the long game. We aren't looking for quick and dirty dopamine hits or taking the easiest path every time. We are looking to create a life that feels good, that is healthy, that is nourishing, and leads us where we want to go. We want to have the experiences, the feelings. We want to foster the relationships we want, the work, the routines, the time. We want to be able to have what we want for ourselves. And getting more aware around our thinking, paying special attention to junk food thinking where it pops up is a really impactful way to do that. You ready? All right, let's do this. First one, let's start with an easy one, is gossip. Not surprising, right? Of course, these kinds of thoughts and these words, when we speak them out loud to others, are total junk food for the mind. Gossip is one of those things that can feel kind of juicy and fun when we think it. And honestly, one of the reasons people gossip together is that it seems like it's a bonding experience, right? There's like this us versus them mentality to it that can feel in the moment like it's uniting us with other people. It's a kind of dirty bonding experience for sure. It's a way of establishing social order. It can be a way of establishing hierarchical expectations. And let's be honest, it's usually kind of entertaining. There's usually some scoop or scandal going on with someone that we humans just love to marvel at. It can be a way to swap information, I guess, right? Sometimes there's one teeny tiny nugget of data in there that can prove useful. But when we're gossiping, it's always wrapped in this ugly package of maliciousness. So the information, well, it's like there's less junky ways to convey and consume information than through gossip, right? Gossip is pretty universal. It's an easy trap to fall into, and it's total junk food for the mind. So this is where we can get mindful. We can pay attention, get aware and ask ourselves, who do I want to be here? Is this useful? Is it kind? Is it meaningful? Because when we gossip out loud, and even sometimes when we locate gossipy thoughts in our minds, we feel gross. It's not a long-lasting, healthy, sustainable way to think or to communicate. It's quick. It's dirty. It's a cheap shot and immediate zip of dopamine. But there is nothing of substance to it. It's like a Twinkie. It's fun for about 5 seconds. And then it's gone. It's gross and you're none the better for it. Okay, how about complaining? This is more junk food for the mind for sure. And I know you know someone who loves to complain, right? Maybe you sometimes love to complain. Yeah. Yes, though, this is, however we slice it, this is total junk food. Now, I want to draw a distinction between venting and complaining, or something I've even heard called conscious complaining, where you say to yourself or to someone else, I just need to get this off my chest. I know I'm kind of whining. I know I'm wallowing a bit here, but I need to get this out. So those are places where either something has just happened and you are in the throes of processing through it by talking it out and sorting and understanding what has happened, and or you're very aware of what you're doing. You're saying, I'm going to complain now, right? This is self-aware, and that changes everything. So what I mean when I say complaining is junk food is a different brand, right? It's that unconscious, habitual, knee-jerk way of reacting to life where we just fall into that, ugh, this is terrible. Like, woe is me. Things are bad. I can't believe this stuff is happening. What's wrong with them? What's wrong with the world? That doesn't get us anywhere. It just turns us in circles and it keeps us in a doom and gloom headspace. Now, I know you know, complaining is not rare. This is not unique. It's not a surprise, but it is helpful to wake up to this, to see it as junk food in your mind, and to redirect yourself when you notice you're in it. This is not a good use of time or of energy or of attention or of conversation or of headspace. This is not where you want to live. So notice it, name it, and then redirect yourself. So you could say something like, oh, I see him complaining about this. That's not going to help. And then you can ask yourself questions like, is there something here I need to accept? Can I understand more about something in this situation? Can I get more information? Do I need to let go of something here? What do I need to do from here? These are much more helpful questions than sitting and spinning in complaining. Okay, how about self-doubt? This is another total junk food place your mind can go. Just questioning yourself, doubting what you're up to, doubting your ability and your capability, not trusting yourself, questioning your worth and your value as a person. All of that is total junk. And yet, I find this is how many of us talk to ourselves all day, every day. Just beating ourselves up, trying to hate ourselves into better habits, or shame ourselves into success, or berating ourselves for things that we've said and that we've done. It's wild how we talk to ourselves. So I say self-doubt, but really the whole family of thoughts that make up the brand of self-talk that looks like this is just awful, right? It's mean, nasty comments, pretty much bullying yourself inside your own head. This is junk food because, for some weird reason, this is easier for humans to do than it is for us to lean towards kindness, compassion, curiosity, and encouragement with ourselves. We tend towards this kind of thinking over something kinder, particularly with ourselves, not necessarily with other people, although sometimes, but we do this for sure in our own heads to and about ourselves. Why? I don't know, but we do, and it's no good. This is one of those things that if you don't chaperone your mind, you will likely end up doing this in some way, shape, or form. It just is part of the human condition. At least in our culture, it is. There is a story in the meditation world about Sharon Salzberg asking the Dalai Lama how they could help students with low self-esteem. And they kind of went back and forth with the translator a bit because turns out there's no Tibetan word for that. So the Dalai Lama was kind of baffled about the idea of self-doubt, right? Of low self-esteem. That wasn't something that made its way into the language and experience and culture. So there's that too, which is kind of fascinating in and of itself, right? All right, moving on. More junk food in the mind. How about things that seem like the easy way out? If you ever have a sense of like, oh well, or screw it, right? We're thinking junk food thoughts in this family when that happens. So the easy way out in this sense is where we let go of creativity or resourcefulness or belief in ourselves. We give up and it's like, well, it's not going to work anyway. There's like a sense of futility with this, a real big shrug. Well. Another thing that's closely related to this one is quick fixes. Quick fixes are sometimes, and this is what I mean here, with junk food thoughts, right? Quick fixes are not long lasting. They're not meaningful. They're not sustainable. They're like dirty Band-Aids that barely hold things together. So it's like the mental equivalent of using duct tape for everything. Like it doesn't fix anything. It doesn't solve anything. It doesn't move things forward in a meaningful way. It just covers up the issue, like kind of, sort of, for now. And you can, like limp along. And I mean, again, this is junk food because you have to come back to it. This isn't done. In fact, it might get worse. But you can quick fix it. You can hit the easy button. You don't have to fully address it or wholly take care of things right now. Now, this isn't a judgment. So don't use this as a weapon against yourself. Just recognize if you're indulging in junk food quick fixes or junk food easy ways out. Sometimes the easy way is the best way. Sometimes there's a quick fix because it's right there and it'll work and it's your best bet. Great. I mean the times when you could take 5 minutes to really look at something or really hear someone or read through something thoroughly. And instead of taking that time and that attention, you don't. You rush through it, you assume something, you skim it, you miss the important parts. The times when you steal the meaning or substance from yourself because you're more interested in getting it done than getting it done well or right. Okay, lastly, at least for today, there are many, many, many junk food thoughts out there, but last for today, how about things you've thought before? Now, the mind is not incredibly original. Our minds mostly think thoughts we've thought before. That's nothing new. But if you're thinking junk food thoughts and you're thinking them on repeat, then we're in a cycle and a pattern of junk food thoughts. And some of the thoughts you've thought before, like they didn't work for you the first time around. They weren't any good to you then. Now you're just repeating them out of habit, not because you need them, right? And it becomes a junk food thought spin. It wasn't great the first time around. Now you're really in it, thinking more and more and more of it. So part of being aware of our thinking is paying attention to the quality and the content of our thinking and recognizing that simply because we're thinking something, that doesn't make it real, that doesn't make it true. It's a thought. And just because it's a thought you've thought hundreds of times before, that doesn't give it more weight or importance. It's just on repeat. So it's not more real, it's just more. Just because it's on repeat doesn't make it junk, right? But it's not junk because it's on repeat either, you know? So when we can see what we're thinking for what it is, we gain some control over our minds, over our emotions, and over our lives. So, junk food, self-talk. Thoughts that are the mental equivalent of junk food. Good in the moment, right? Kind of fun, kind of entertaining, maybe delicious, but long-term, just not the healthiest, not the most nourishing, not the most supportive. Now, again, no judgment. This is about paying attention, getting aware, and being mindful of what you're thinking, how you're thinking, where your mind goes. You can direct it and redirect it. You can see what's going on in there and go, wait a second, let's not. Come over here instead. In fact, do that. You, like the you of you, the essence of you know better than your mind knows. So notice the junk self-talk and let go there. Point your mind towards thoughts you want to be thinking instead. Yeah? Yeah. All right, that's it for today. But remember, before I leave you, I just want to remind you that my fall mindfulness class, it's called Be Mindful, Not Anxious. That class is open for enrollment now. We start on Monday, September 16th. So if you're listening to this in like somewhat real time, that's this coming Monday. We're going to be together for 6 weeks. It's only $59 for the 6 weeks. You're going to have practices. You're going to have tools. You're going to have meditations that you get to keep and work with forever, because we want this fall to be more mindful and less anxious, right? Be sure to visit kellyhanlonmccormick.com/BeMindfulNotAnxious for more info and to get signed up for that. I would love to work more closely with you. I would love to support you more directly than I can through the podcast. Either way, though, I will see you next week at the same time, same place for more transforming anxiety. And until then, please take care. Thank you so much for being here, for listening, for doing this work alongside me. Thank you for sharing this with your friends and your family, anyone who, could use the support and the guidance, who could use these teachings and practices. Thank you for sharing your stories with me, telling me about your experiences and asking your questions. I'm here with you. Let's do this together. Transforming anxiety.